So I've been in VR for quite a bit. I did the Alan Walker project, and I've been doing some stuff for this place. This, by the way, is VR chat, and I'm going to obviously be holding my talk, the majority of it, from within VR chat, because that's how you hold a talk about social VR, right? You do it within social VR. One of the things that I learned during my time developing Alan Walker was that your experiences that you have in real life translates to the experiences that you have in VR. If you have an experience in real life and then have it again in VR, you will feel it stronger. And if you experience something that you haven't experienced before in VR, it won't necessarily have the same effect. This is important because it makes it really hard to design for VR, because you never know what part of your audience has had the same experiences as you when you designed it. The good thing is that the one thing that people have in common is that they've talked to other humans, which makes social VR a really good baseline for designing for VR. And it also makes it very, very immersive. It makes it more immersive than many other VR experiences, simply because we all have the same baseline. We all know how to talk to each other. So even when the avatars are cartoony and weird like this one, our brain fills in the blanks and we talk naturally. It feels surprisingly natural to talk from within here. So the foundation that all social VR is built upon is that we like to talk to each other. We're social animals. So what I'm going to do throughout this talk is to go through the concept of social VR, the kind of apps that are out there, the feature set of specifically VR chats, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the next level, like how far are people pushing this thing, and the opportunities for business. And, oh, look at this, people want to get in here. Who's going to take a call? That's professional, right? It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's using her menu, which you can see.
You see, we're having guests that aren't even in this company.
Them into the
and I'm going to invite Eva as well. Right, so I'm going to see if I can get the other people in here. Waiting. Oh, hold on. Someone's talking to me in real life now. I'm having a talk. Who is this?
Someone's loading.
Ja, men jeg liker talken. Gjør det. Ta den den. Egil is cheating. He is bothering me in the middle of a VR talk, and I can't wait to see what this looks like from the footage that you're looking at. It's probably going like, yes, what is it? Anyway, yeah, hi. You want to come over and introduce yourself?
Yes, are we live?
Yes, we are.
Oh, hello.
I see the...
just one moment. I think Serkron, the other guy who is joining us, wrote to me, so I will check my overlay right now. And yep, that was someone else. Well, anyways, I am Sonny Whoop, just some regular user on VRChat who was asked to join for this talk.
Yeah. And you're also a very, very experienced user, right? You've been playing it for a while and you've made a lot of avatars. That's kind of your thing, as well as worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I have been
like
on VRChat for roughly 1 year and 2 months, I think, roughly, give or take.
Wow. I've been
so
here
I have been on
November.
VRChat. So I've been on VRChat from before it was on Steam.
Damn.
VRChat itself has existed for about 4 years, I believe.
Wow. And it's in early access now, so this tech has been in development for quite a bit. Anyway, I'm going to go through the feature set of VRChat, and I might need your help during some of the avatar segments. And then at the end, we're going to have a little interview session. That's cool with you?
That's good.
So if you want, you can hang out at the bar, and then I will just call you over when the avatar segment is on. This is our camera person, Lovelace, aka Ronja. Thank you, Ronja.
Hey, Ronja.
And my workplace is, to me, they're sitting up there somewhere, because I have an overlay. So yeah, I'm just going to continue. I'm talking about the features. The features. Anyway, right now I'm wearing a Rift headset, which means that the hand controllers are super cool. I would say that for gesturing, the hand controllers are much more comfortable and natural to use than the Vive controllers. The Vive is, they're developing something similar, but I haven't tried them yet. People are saying that they're going to be super cool and even better than these ones, but for now, gesturing feels fairly natural, especially the finger guns. So when I'm accentuating a point, I'm going to do like this, because I think I look cool, I don't know. Gestures and just general body communication is super important when you're talking to other people. So just being able to track your head and your hands and the direction of your body is super nice when you're communicating with people. You get this in VR chats. You don't get this in Google Hangouts or Skype mass calls, so it gets really confusing when you're in a group chat setting. In VR chat, you can be 5 people, and everybody knows who's talking to everybody at any one time, because you see who's talking to who at which moment. So there's much fewer interruptions and confusion. I have to use my brain a lot just to figure out what's going on when I'm in a group hangout, for instance. While in VR chat, it feels very natural, and I did so from the beginning. I didn't have to train myself to learn it, which is super cool. So tracking and communication part is really, really nice. I should also mention that VR chat can be played through desktop without a VR headset. And that explains a lot of the popularity of the platform. I'm going to get back to that. So another feature of VR chat that should be fairly obvious to everyone by now is that you can make any avatar that you want. I'm a fish person. I just assumed that was going to be fine and natural and cool for every one of you, that I'm half fish, half human. I decided to just make a fun 3D character, like I do sometimes for fun, and put it into VR chat, and this was the result. This is the first character that I made, and it was remarkably easy. Many people who aren't games artists have started making their own avatars to great success. Every time I log on, I see something new. This, of course, has pros and cons. The pros is that you can communicate whatever you want to be. I've seen people be bread with butter on it, just running around. I've seen a can of Spam with hands and, and legs. I've seen people being both whole houses as well as that TARDIS from Doctor Who. I saw that yesterday. Somebody was a walking TARDIS, and you can go inside of it and change your avatar and come back out, which created some fun things. So freedom is what attracts people to this platform. None of the other competition has this. The competition, by the way, are, among others, Sansar, Altspace, Facebook Spaces, Rec Room. They all have avatar options, but they're all very limited, because making an avatar system is super complex, complicated, takes a lot of time, and as we all know, VR is in its early stages of adoption. There aren't that many who have these headsets, and to get the immersive human communication effect from VR chat, you have to have a Rift or a Vive, generally. So there's no studio that can have 100 character artists sitting there making the most immersive, awesome character creation system ever. VR chat solves this by just letting the players do everything, which is actually, it's very cool. But you can also make any bad thing you can think of. Think of a bad thing and people have probably been it in here. That's, yeah. Another thing you can do is become any gender that you want, any size that you want, any item that you want. For instance, I'm going to change my avatar now. Just let's see. I can see from the audience reaction that I became something horrifying, didn't I? No, it is an example of how getting yourself 3D scanned isn't necessarily the best option for VR chat. Because immediately I get less immersive, right? Because you can't see my face moving the way it's supposed to. Let's see, I have another. Please invite me to your world. Yes. I'm now taking another call, as Øystein. So yeah, even if you have a 3D scan of yourself, you're gonna need to do a lot of work on the eyes and mouth. Because what VR chat does is it stylizes human interaction. So just being Øystein won't really help on the communication between us. being something that has moving eyes and moving mouth is much more important. So making a cartoon Øystein would be the best way to be an Øystein in this world. You can also use your avatar to get in touch with people. So I'm going to change to something weird now. Just wave when you see it, because it's going to load for Lovelace. Yes, you see it. I'm a line drawing. This is a really good icebreaker if you want to talk to people. Because I can go in a place and I can just pretend to be a drawing that has come to life. Who is my creator and what is my purpose? And then it's going to be the whole thing. I've asked people to draw me organs, like, please give me a heart, kind sir, because there's drawing worlds in here. Another thing that I would like to talk about is, let's see, new avatar. Okay, wave when you can see it, because this one is small, so I might have to go over here. Can you see me?
Yes, we can see you.
Yes, you can see me, fantastic. This avatar is tiny. It's 60 centimeters tall. It's called Lizard Wizard, and it's what I use when I don't want to appear threatening to anyone. It's a really cool experience to be something that is super tiny. I have to look up at everyone when I'm talking to them. It can also be cool to be someone who is huge. One thing that this affects is actually the experience of different kinds of people that enter this world and this community. I saw some research done by someone called, I think it was Jessica Outlaw, that did a study on introducing women to social VR. She didn't use VR chat because VR chat has a bit of a high point of entry. I think she used Rec Room and Altspace, and those don't have the same kind of avatar choices. And VR as a technology is majorly being adopted by men, not women. So she tried to introduce them to social VR and see how they reacted, and these were all very tech-savvy women. They were like programmers, they were from the university, and none of them liked it. A lot of them felt like they were kind of uncomfortable because they were a stranger in a room filled with 20 dudes. And that would make actually most people a little bit uncomfortable. So I'm thinking that avatar sizes could help with that. If they started out in an avatar that was big, they might feel less uncomfortable. If everybody else was a tiny avatar, same effect might be accomplished. And a fun thing, a side note about VR chat is that there's a very high amount of men being small anime girls, which I think might help a little bit with the adoption rate of women into this chat. So that's a funny little side note. So being able to accentuate what you want to be and remove what you don't want to be at any one point, I think is good. People will call it like fake, super escapism, maybe not good for you, but I say that it creates clear communication. You can communicate anything that you want according to the mood that you might be feeling. And I think it's nice to be able to have different experiences, because you don't really know what it's like to be 60 centimeters tall until you try it. And I welcome any one of you to come over later and try it, or Kim can introduce you. I'm going to change back again now to my original fish person, who, by the way, has some extra features. My hands do the regular thing, but when I do the victory sign, I smile. This is something I added myself because I wanted to be able to convey that emotion. I wanted to be able to, haha, when I laugh, I'll do like this. And it's very efficient for what it is. So if Sarni Whoop would like to come over, as well as Circon, I think you had an avatar that was a cat with wizard hats that had lots of eye movement, right? Or eye options? Yeah, if you want to show that one off.
I'll just switch to it.
And second, if you want to introduce yourself too, we are live in front of my workplace.
Oh, hi, I'm Zircon Swift. I've been playing around for about a year now. I'm captain of Team Avian for What's in the Box. I'm a co-admin of Power Chords along with Gallium. And I generally do a lot of messing around in the metaverse and just spending time with my friends I've made on here.
Yes. We're going to have an interview session at the end of the talk. Just going to introduce the different kind of avatars, because this one doesn't have hands, but it has all of the options mapped to different states. Yeah, different states of emotion. so you can show like anger and sadness, right?
Yeah, what I did with this one, I used this avatar because the eyes are comically, large. So I used them to, make different kinds of eye expressions. Like I can do this happy face, and I can be really happy looking, or I can have this sarcastic looking face, like Zerkron, being the best
So
kind of person that he is, obviously. So I can look at him, being a bit sarcastic, and if he gets angry, I can recoil in fear.
I didn't mean it.
yeah, that is pretty
And,
fantastic.
And I just have those 3 expressions because there are only so many gestures that I can use, and and I don't want to accidentally trigger any other expression.
Yeah,
I could map out
it's
some
the-
more, but I think those 3 are the most efficient ones.
Yeah, that is fantastic. So, as you can see, he has swapped the facial gesture part for the hand gesture part for more facial gestures, which is a choice that you can make in a system like this because it's so flexible. So, thank you guys. I will call on you guys later because now I'm going to talk a little about world building. So, we're going to look at the world.
Yes, I'm not needed anymore, so I'll just stand over there.
So sorry. I'm sorry.
Come on.
It's my talk though. I run it. Anyway, world building in VR chat. I love these guys. This world that we're in is Fish Person's Cove, and I made it also kind of as a test world. It's just using the regular Unity pipeline for games art, and there's a fairly low barrier for entry. The bad part about this is that there's a lot of low barrier to entry worlds out there. There is no oversight as to what you can upload if you have a private world that you just want to share with your friends. If you want the world to go public, the mods will actually come in here, look around, like 6 of them, and just test your world for frame rate and if there's anything weird in there. Among the worlds that I've seen is a dance club that has a zero gravity box that you can sit inside and the other patrons can throw you around. Imagine if you're in VR, that gets pretty pretty weird after a while. I've also seen a world completely dedicated to beer pong. And the beer pong world is one of the first worlds I've seen that has accommodation for different sizes of avatars. There was one huge beer pong table, and then they were progressively smaller until there was one beer pong table for avatars of 10 centimeters of size. So it was very inclusive. Anybody can play beer pong as long as they have a VR headset, so not so inclusive. Oh, yeah. I've also been to a haunted house, which was a weird experience because I was expecting the scariness to be very scary in VR. I was expecting jump scares, and just don't make jump scares in VR unless you really know what you're doing, because that can legitimately be kind of uncomfortable in a not cool way. Anyway, I went into this haunted house, and at the same time there was a Winnie the Pooh, a Sonic the Hedgehog, and a couple of anime boys doing the same thing. So in the end, it felt like going through a fake haunted house in an amusement park, because that's the experience that I brought with me to compare it to, right? I've never been to an actual haunted house full of actual ghosts, so my brain filled in the blanks with the experience that I already had, which was going to an amusement park and having fun. So the haunted house was a much bigger success than I would have otherwise anticipated, which is a thing that you wouldn't necessarily think about when designing for VR. I've also seen some actual amusement parks, which are not amusing because they just make you dizzy, so it's a good test to see just how uncomfortable it's possible to be in VR. I would not recommend the things that spin around a lot, that makes you dizzy. And there's also a really, really cool Mass Effect fan apartment that Sarni Whoop and his friends showed me yesterday. And that was just awesomely crafted. It felt like being inside the Citadel from the game. So that's also something that you can use it for. Basically, your imagination is the limit, both for avatars and worlds. And just to reiterate, this is something that's special for VR chat and brings with it some unique challenges that's also VR chat only right now. Sansar they hired some artists to make some really cool worlds, but right now they don't have any population. And since the point of social VR is to be social, then it's just right now Sansar is a bit of an exhibition and not much else. Anyway, I don't know if our full body person is ready over there. I'm going to talk about how people take it to the next level. Yeah, come over here. I see that we have some skinning issues. Oh no. Technically, this avatar is using full body. You can stand over there approximately. Since we have a full body setup, but you might want to change your avatar to a robot or something because one of your legs is broken. That's probably my fault. I'm sorry about that. Or you can try using that one, but one leg looks a bit weird. Oh man, that's unfortunate. Nothing can be perfect. Ever. But yeah, this is Eva in full body, and she is going to show off some possibilities from within full body VR, while I talk about the other ways that people are taking this to the next level. Can you all see her fine, by the way? Is everything good with camera? Yes, perfect. All right, so there's full body, in which I have seen people have real-ish dance-offs in clubs, including handstands and weird dance moves. I don't know how they do it. We use a setup of 3 Vive trackers. I think some people use Kinect and other people again use actual suits. I don't know how they do their setup, but for those people who are interested, I'm pretty sure that Steam VR is very, very friendly towards alternative input methods. So you can just, if you're interested, you could do a lot of fun stuff with just stuff you have lying around. I know that a friend of mine tried getting into VR chat using his phone on Google Cardboard, and it miraculously worked by fiddling with Steam VR. Other weird stuff people do is we have meditation sessions within VR chat, and I think they've existed for a long time. I haven't tried it myself, but I'm totally going to just to see what it's like. I've heard about people doing hypnosis in VR, and that being impressive and scary. I talked to one guy that had a nap inside the VR and woke up inside the VR, and his reaction was kind of weird. I would not recommend that. Like, he didn't have a good experience. And I've heard about ASMR, which is that tingly feeling you get when someone whispers in your ear. It can apparently be triggered by doing weird noises, certain movements, and people have been experimenting with that inside VR as well. It's pretty interesting. Did we get any full body VR back there? Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, because this looks pretty cool to me.
I think
I should totally keep.
Could you try to switch the avatar?
Sorry, what?
Could you try to switch the avatar? I didn't see it was like she was floating. Was that what you wanted to see?
I'm sorry, this microphone on this laptop
Could you try
is
switch
both
the
giving force
avatar?
feedback and...
Could you try to switch the avatar?
Yeah, I asked about that earlier. I think I'm just gonna keep doing the talk.
Is all stuck, then
Yes.
we could try to do a
And-
remote, like a backflip that will reset.
Yeah, it's not working. I tried switching, yeah. I'm gonna try it again.
Or just look
Okay.
and just walk around with your controllers. Yeah, looks like it's fine.
Yeah, this is the broken one with the legs. It's an avatar creation problem, and there is no avatars that we can switch to, unfortunately.
Okay.
Other than the default ones.
Show it off, if
Okay.
needed.
Oh yeah, we have another one with full body in it. Are you wearing it now?
I'm sitting, aren't I?
Oh yeah, he's actually sitting down over there. So yeah. All right. Well, do you want to come over and try showing it off?
Alright, yes. So I can just like lift up my head, and I've also done my own custom override to clench my feet, so I can give people fist bumps with my bird feet.
Nice to
or handshake.
good shake.
Nice to meet you. I remember at one time when I was at one of the casual meditations, and there was someone in there called Kimple, and she wanted to throw me off balance, so she asked me to lift my right arm and then to lift up my left leg. And when I stayed balanced for like a whole 10 seconds, she wanted me to lift up my left leg as well.
Did that throw you off balance, or does gravity not work on you?
Well, I kind of just sort of like joked and stood on something. Yeah, and
Well,
sometimes
well played.
yeah. But yeah, it just increases immersion so much when I do this, because if I want to sit down, instead of like just doing this like what a lot of people do, I can just instead actually like sit down. And I've had people say that it just adds to that feeling on other people's immersion side as well, because they just see people
Yes.
relaxing as they normally would.
Totally, that's actually. This is a good
sitting
point.
down right now, and this is how it normally looks like when VR
Yeah.
people without full body tracking. It's like us.
Regular
Only
VR
the
people
headset
don't sit down that much.
And the controllers are being tracked. So obviously my legs can't be as
Yep.
detailed as
And
The
certain.
system is
down
doing its best.
just a little lower.
But yeah, if I actually lay down on the floor, it's recognized the headset is close to the floor level, and then the character actually does a prone animation.
This is the
That
one
is
reason
certainly
I want.
something.
This is the one reason I want to go into full body, so I didn't do that. So if I wanted to like lie down still, I could just lie down and not go into that animation.
Yes. To the rest of us, that is magical. Anyway, I'm going to move on to talk now, but that is super cool. And if you guys want to stay around for a bit, people can maybe ask you questions and ask you to do weird things later in the talk.
That's good. Wouldn't be the first time.
As for them, I don't know if we have any of the business people in the back of the crowd there, but I was going to talk a little bit about the possibilities of a space like this. Is there any business? Wave if you're into business. Alright, there's no people into business. I could just skip this talk then. Do you want more lying down? And no, I'm going to go through it, because I want to talk about the adoption rate of VR. As I mentioned earlier, this system... could you turn off your microphone? Because I get the force feedback and I can't focus.
Sorry.
Sorry, Lovelace.
Okay, now? Can you hear me now?
Okay, we're all good.
Okay.
Yeah, the adoption rate. We have lots of desktop users in here. Back in, I think it was a couple of months ago, some streamers picked up the platform, and there's lots of fun that can be had, obviously. And as a result, we got a lot of new users. At one point, there was 20,000 people on at the same time, which is kind of a lot for an early access title with VR in the name. I think the amount of downloads is somewhere around 3 million right now. So a lot of people have downloaded it and kind of maybe waiting for the VR headsets, I don't know. My point is that when desktop people come in here with VR people and see what the VR people can do, they want it. The adoption rate of VR chat, I think, is the most we've had from any app, simply because it lets the users interact with each other. So if somebody is in desktop mode and say they're red knuckles, and maybe some people recognize that meme, it's about this big, and I can bend down and I can kind of just pat his head and say, "Oh, for you, do you want me to make you an avatar for more originality?" And he will get very jealous of my VR setup, and he will want to buy his own so that he can flip me off or something when I do that. So I hopefully, due to VR chat actually alone, we're going to see bigger adoption rate and a bigger audience for VR titles, which is significant to us. Some business possibilities include meet and greets with celebrities or politicians, people that normally people can't get close to without having guards near them. You could meet quite intimately superstars through a system like this, and it's going to be hopefully fun and immersive for both parts. I'm going to talk a little bit about the downsides of that later. You could have live intimate concerts, you could have workshops with teams that are on the other side of the world. If you want to build something together, there are some of the creative apps have started embracing the social aspect. So, for instance, in Oculus Medium, you can cooperate on modeling stuff, which is really cool. And there's also digital tourism. If you have an area that you want people to really experience instead of just showing them a photo, if it's an area that needs to be experienced in order to influence people to go there, you can build it in VR and you can tell people to try it in VR first. This ties into the bringing your own experiences into VR that I mentioned earlier, because once people realize that their real-life experience will have a lot to say for how they experience VR, maybe the opposite is true. Maybe if I've never been to a spa and somebody makes a really spa-influenced world and that you can kind of pretend to do the things, maybe I will be inspired to go and do those things. The potential for really cool advertising, which is something I thought I would never say, is actually quite good. And also, if you have a friend that lives across the world that you can't see that often, I think hanging out in VR would be a good alternative to flying out across the world, because it feels like you're in the same space as the person. So both friendships and relationships might be really good. So in the end here, I'm going to talk a little bit about the weird and the bad, because there's a lot of weird and there's a lot of bad right now. As I mentioned earlier, the freedom of VR chat is a double-edged sword. We have a lot of people just using the freedom and the powers that they get to try and make things bad for everybody else. Everybody from the internet knows that this is happening, and VR chat is no exception. I don't know how to solve it, other than the people who like to just hang out, they usually go into private worlds and just talk there, so that they won't get any pollution. And by pollution, I mean everything is built on Unity, so if you can do it in Unity, you can probably import it to VR chat for some reason. This includes trying to bypass the volume controls so that you break people's speakers. This is a real example that I heard of the other day, and it's just a super shitty thing to do. Other things is just making avatars that people don't want to look at. Of course that has happened. And also trying to block people's vision with black boxes and just things that go on top of the regular UI, so you can't see your menu or anything, so you're going to feel like you can't escape, which is also, if you're not an experienced VR user, that might feel really uncomfortable. So there's weird and bad to having freedom like this. I hope they keep the freedom, simply because that part of it is still super awesome, but there's obviously challenges around running a place like this. So I would say that if anybody wants to try VR chat, talk to me or Kim. We will help you out. Do not enter unsupervised, because you don't know what you're getting yourselves into. Or do enter unsupervised if you think you're prepared for everything, and trust me, you're not prepared. It's basically the Wild West in here. I've talked a lot about, by now, I've talked a lot about bringing your own experiences into VR, right? Mostly in the positive. Also, it reflects in the negative. I've seen a lot of people running around with guns, for instance, that they can just materialize out of thin air. And if you're an actual war veteran, I think that would be really, really uncomfortable. Basically, everybody is a potential concealed carry inside of VR chat, and there's nothing the devs can do about it without restricting everybody's freedom. Does this sound like a real debate? So yeah, that's I'm a staunch gun control advocate in VR chats. If I can manage to change somebody's mind. I would also share an anecdote with you. Lovelace, are you okay?
Yes.
You're moving around. You still see me? Okay, good. Last thing I'm going to talk about is that VR as a concept has started affecting my own dreams, which is weird. Like, I will wake up in the middle of the night regularly having a dream, and then being kind of in a half-conscious state where you think, oh, it was just a dream, and then go back to sleep. My brain has started saying, oh, you're just in VR, and then I go back to sleep. Which is a legitimately weird thing. I don't know where to go with that. I don't know if it's a warning. I don't think it affects me in any other way, but that is the one physiological thing that I've noticed, that my brain thinks VR instead of dream states sometimes. And yeah, I'm not going to go more into that without anyone doing research on it first. But yeah, if anybody does research on that, here is a guinea pig for you. So yeah, that is basically the talk. Do I have a Kim in VR anywhere? I don't think I do. No, I do not. So, oh, all right, come over.
Hello, hello.
Yes, fantastic. We have a Kim.
Gotcha.
So the, but the Kim is on this side, right?
I'm on your side, on the dark side at the moment, yes, because I had
Okay.
some technical problems with the equipment on the bright side.
Right. If anybody has any questions or requests for my two guests, you can type that into the chat, actually. I think I'll be able to read it. So that's one way we can do the Q&A, or I can just come over, because I'm 2 minutes away. So if anybody has any questions for my guests that are super experienced users of VRChat, you may raise your hand and yell it out, and we will type it into the chat and ask them.
Yes.
How long?
Oh, I see someone.
How long do they chat?
Somebody wants to know how long you've been in VR chat. I'm going to just augment the question to how long you think it's comfortable to be in VR chat, and how long have you been in VR chat for without logging off?
See, the longest
Yeah,
I've been
that's-
in VR chat without logging off is, on a fresh charge until it dies, basically on the Vive. and I
How
had
long
to
is
quit
that?
VR chat because roughly give or take 6 hours. I could have gone for longer, but I needed to get something to eat.
How about you?
Probably about the same length. I thought the charge was about 8 hours. So honestly, I just lose track. There was this one night actually when there was What's in the Box. There was What's in the Box, and then there was that thing as well that we did with the alien stuff. If you remember way back when.
I like it. You fill in the blanks, you guys. But when it says alien stuff, you just...
You know, the investigation stuff with our boy Poplapo.
Oh yeah, that thing. I remember.
Yes.
I don't know what it is, but it took 8 hours until the controllers died. As for me, my headset at home, it digs into the back of my head, so I have actually a physical limit on, I think, 1.5 hours or something. So my sessions are way shorter, simply because it is physical discomfort, the back of my head. I might fix it sometime, but as you can hear, it can be pretty immersive, and I like to eat. Also, I get these, my headset at home is a bit uncomfortable, so I get these markings on my face if I stay in for too long. And we call them like the shame cat marks or whatever. It's like, at one point, I think this is going to be a thing. Like if you show up at the store and you have VR marks on your face, the clerk is going to know, and they're going to go like, aha, I know what you've been doing.
I called it the raccoon mask.
The raccoon mask, yeah. I knew you guys would
beautiful.
get it as well. Right, do we have any other
yeah.
questions?
Yeah.
Do you
Ooh, I see
feel
one.
like you have two personalities? Are you different personalities in social VR?
That's a good question.
I guess
Yes.
sort of yes. Like if we go back to what kind of avatars that you can use, I definitely feel like I can express myself more of a should I say a cute way when I'm using this one, because it's obviously adorable and I can be cutesy and happy like this. But with my other cat avatar, the same effect wouldn't be as prevalent. So yeah, I can definitely use my avatars to express myself in many different ways. Like if I want to feel adorable, and maybe physically I'm not adorable, I can just be an adorable avatar with cute animation overrides and have people react to it in a
I just
genuine
switched to
way.
the shark in order to prove this point, because when I tend to switch to the shark, which is a hand puppet, so the rest of me is invisible, sometimes I just get this voice because I'm a shark now, and it just happens. My personality doesn't change, but sometimes we lean into the shark, which is the part of the conversation that is how to make friends and become a fish. It's easy to become a fish. Just make it. Anyway, Serkan.
Yes, I feel like it's a mix of yes and no. Because when I first started out, I could be like, no one knows who I am. I could just reinvent myself, and therefore I create the personality that I want to be without the baggage of what I had back in Meat Space. But over time, my base personality from Meat Space bleeds into my metaverse personality and vice versa. So it sort of becomes a different mix, as you will. I still act differently in Meat Space, but the two things are like mix and match, and I feel like I'm getting the best of both worlds. So I can apply what I learn in metaverse to like what's in Meat Space.
Yeah, there was one thing I forgot to mention. I'm going to talk about this serious topic while wearing a hand shark because I can do that. I was going to mention therapy for, say, social anxiety. Do you think VR chat could be used for that? Because I think it might have potential.
Absolutely.
Since if you train people that they can just remove their headset at any time, and the social experience will stop. It gives them like a panic button. So I think there's big potential there, said the shark.
I've already heard a lot of people that's, had or have social anxiety or, just trouble socializing. And they all said that VR chat has been helpful for them to various degrees.
That's very cool. All right,
I'll chime in on that.
Have a VR headsets because it feels like, when you are in VR, it's one of those things like you can't explain colors to someone who's never seen colors. Like explaining VR to someone who hasn't put on the VR headset, it's just impossible.
Yeah,
so when you're in VR, it actually feels like we are in the space.
Imagine you're at a beach and there's a cat, but it's a person.
I feel like I'm a natural fit in here.
Yeah, my point is, if you're having trouble socializing, then people with VR headsets, they put them on and then talking with people, maybe with characters that they're familiar with, and they can, talk about the video game because that person is wearing a video game character, and sort of get over the first step of, oh God, it's a new person, I don't know what to talk about them with. And then they can speak out about that, and that, one thing leads to another, and hey, they made a new friend. That's how I usually meet people.
I had I went to a meetup a few nights ago about pitching, and pitching can be a very important thing if you're a startup. There can be millions of kroner depending on the pitch, but pitching is a lot of people are scared of talking to large amount of people, or it could be not so many people, but I can really see that you could do training talking to public in VR. Just like you're doing here, Rika.
This is true. This was, of course, a test. I could be over at the bright side, standing in front of the television in VR, talking about VR, and you'd also see my avatar. Just turn off the sound. But I wanted to test how it would be to speak to a number of people while being 2 minutes away, or 5 minutes, or 2 hours. And it's working out pretty nicely. But do you guys want like 5 minutes to just talk about whatever, maybe the future of social VR, just if you want to say something? Because I will actually go over in person and have a small Q&A. No, I'm kidding. I just want the snacks. You guys have snacks. I'm hungry. I want snacks. I'm gonna go over and indulge in like real physical stuff, man, that you can do in the real world. No, but
I wish I could.
If you guys want to say, want to just have a conversation or say something, then when Lovelace logs off, that means that we're offline. So I'm just gonna give you some time, Kim and the two of you, to just. If you want to speak. I'm going to log off now because I have a raccoon mask, and I'll see you guys in 2 minutes.
Okay.
stay fishy or something.
Yeah. Geez, what to talk about? I guess we could talk about, well,
Can we ask questions?
Sort of stuff that's coming down the pipeline, like a bit IK.
yeah. I guess the biggest feature that is sought after in VR chat right now is scripting, because we can bring in worlds and avatars, but what's sort of limited in terms of what we can create right now is interactability. Right now there is the VR chat SDK that you have to import into Unity to even be able to upload avatars / worlds. And there is even some limited functionality, like you can add the pickups, like these balls, simple stuff like that. But more advanced scripting is down the pipeline. For now, custom C# scripting isn't allowed due to some of the reasons that Fish Person talked about earlier. People being people on the internet. If you could do custom C# scripting without any sort of restrictions, then that's bad.
Dangerous.
Are you able to hear
Very
us?
dangerous. Oh yeah,
We
I
can.
hear you.
Okay, did you have any
Yes.
Yeah, well, I wanted to know, is there any
Are there any
dating
questions
going on
or
in this
something like that?
VR
Okay, we have a question. Is there any dating going on in this VR chat?
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Form
Obviously,
romantic relationships in here.
come on. What kind of question is that? It's obviously yes.
Anyone?
Back in August, we had a.
And some
we had
more
the
than just
first
dating,
VR
if you know what I
partner.
mean.
Yep, I can definitely vouch for that.
Any other questions?
Another question?
Another question?
Do you watch yourself in the mirror?
Oh, we can't hear you.
Yeah, can you watch yourself in the mirror in VR? Or do you see yourself?
Say again?
Do you see yourself in VR?
Oh yeah. Yeah, there are mirrors that you can. Right now, there aren't any mirrors in this world in particular, but there are mirrors
There
that
is-
you can place in the world, and then you can see yourself move. And actually, are there mirrors here?
There you go.
Now you'll see
Oh, yeah, if you click on this little button here, that will toggle a mirror for you.
Yes, but
But it's local, so only person who presses the
Oh, yeah.
button gets to see it.
Only the person who gets to push it. Okay.
Yeah, it's local, so the cameraman or camera woman has to push the button here on the pedestal.
I can see it. Cool. Any other questions?
Yeah. Have they experienced sort of trying to
Yes,
change avatars or doing VR stuff in real life? Trying to
Yeah,
Okay,
it's great since 5.6 came out.
Have you ever
Go on,
experienced trying
please.
to do VR stuff in real life? Like trying to change your avatar or something?
There was one time when I was in VR for very long that I saw the microphone indicator icon at in my peripheral, and it would light up whenever I would speak in real life. So that was a bit concerning. Sort of I think there's a term for it, the Tetris effect.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yeah?
Actually, I've had moments where I've been in that lazy sort of wake up state where I've just woken up, but I don't want to get up, and I just sort of imagine I'm actually opening up my window in a lucid state, and I can just see these people online, and then it gets very confusing because I'm like, hey, that person was online, but I don't know if they actually were or not.
Oh man.
Yeah, so I've had moments where I literally can't remember if I were or were not in VR.
Oh
That's
jeez.
a good answer. One sec.
I was going to ask, do they see this as something that...
You said you had
What about-
a question?
Yeah.
Do they see
Yes,
it as
so
something that people like
outside of
use,
dating,
like
what is your
regular
favorite
chats, or is it
activity
just,
in VR chat?
Okay, we have another question.
Hey!
Okay, this is the last question. I think this is the last question. Do you see yourself doing VR chat in the future?
Like for years.
Like for years.
You were breaking up a little bit.
Oh, sorry. Do you see yourself doing VR chat for years in the future?
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah? It's awesome.
Sorry, I missed that.
Do you see yourself doing VR chat for years in the future?
I hope I never leave.
Okay.
And you had a question?
Space now. So I'm gonna log you guys off. Thank you very much for your cooperation, and I'll see you guys in game. All of you, all three of you. You two.
I think Room had a
Yes.
question
Yeah,
as well.
Boom had
I
one
know it-
question.
Uh-huh.
That's so cool. That's cool. We'll take it in real life.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Meet space. Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye bye.
Bye.